I've always encouraged scouting because we live in a world which is so complex and difficult for our young people, and especially our young men. The peer group pressures, the influence of media and television on their lives is so powerful and pervasive.
We all know when a kid's mind is not occupied, they're allowed to do things. And my feeling, you work with them now or you work with them later on.
Scouting is not only needed, but necessary in our community, with so much emphasis placed on gangs, and I think scouting is another outlet for our young men to participate in.
I think scouting does deter youth from getting involved with negative influences, negative activity.
It gives us a sense of pride knowing that there are young men who are not involved in gang activities.
To me, it helps them quit being in the streets, maybe going to jail, prison, or whatever. That's what the scouting program will do.
I'm not aware of any single scout that's been involved in our program that's been involved with the police in terms of any kind of a police record or police involvement for being mischievous.
Scouting provides unique opportunities for character formation and character development in young people.
Good character always leads to strong personhood, strong manhood. It helps them to focus on the higher values of life.
The character building which is done by the Boy Scouts and the character building which is done by the church are very complementary to each other.
The values of scouting complement the doctrine of the African Methodist Episcopal Church because it complements the philosophy of the founder of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, Richard Allen, who believed in self-reliance, self-respect,
self-realization, self-determination.
Who they are, where they feel they are, where they belong, where they are going.
Gives them an opportunity to evaluate themselves against the world as a whole. And that by being able to do that, they begin to see where they fit and begin to understand they're a very important part of this community called the world.
How do you cultivate character? You do it by providing models of character.
Our youth are being mentored by other young men, and our single parents and parents are being supported by additional persons who can truly rise to be mentors for those families.
Young men today particularly need models. And the one thing about being in a scouting program is to have scoutmasters who have gone through the process and who care enough about young men, and young women for that matter, to be models, to be mentors, and to be strong examples of good character.
Whether they win the attendance banner, that's not going to make much difference in their life up the road because they're not going to remember that. But what they will remember is what adult spent time to walk with me, to help me shape my character, provide me a vision.
Pastors, business persons, local community leaders all share in the nurture of the development of a young man. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a community to make a man.
I think the Boy Scouts of America very much give and nurture and mature young men into being mature men within the community and the church.
They learned a little leadership. Now when they go out on their own, they're not afraid to take charge, either in the classroom or on the sports field. They feel that they're qualified to do certain things.
My fondest memories of scouting were camping experience and the attainment of merit badges.
They have a reward and incentive system in the giving of awards for accomplishments in the area of your interest, which is much more extensive than the church even tries to do.
And it's through the attainment of merit badges that I was able to become an Eagle Scout.
Having 19 young men become Eagle Scouts at one time was one of the highlights.
Came about that most of the kids Well, I had been with the unit there since they was cubs, and they had worked their way up. And through that, the leaders, the parents, the church worked very hard to make sure that they made Eagle Scouts.
We are very proud of our Boy Scouts 487, the 19 Eagle Scouts of Ebenezer AME Church. They have done exceptional work and well-deserving of that high status within the Boy Scouts of America's Eagle Scouts.
The 19 young men that made it to Eagle were part of using a patrol method. And what happened was that competition took place. The boys started seeing themselves as a team and that they wanted to be one up on the next one. And the highest point was to become an Eagle.
Competition from a different vantage point. If I'm going to compete with the idea that I must win, then I miss something because I'm not prepared to acknowledge the gifts of the other. And I can learn from other people.
I can do my best. And they were actually exemplifying scouting by just doing their best and beating the next person. And this is what they're going to need as they move forward in their life.
The principle of cooperation, which is inherent in the way that the scouting movement allows churches to own their own charter and select their own leadership and monitor their programs themselves, is a very important way for cooperation to be strengthened.
I think the idea of local church ownership reposes the responsibility for the development of the unit in the hands of the pastor, officers, and members of the congregation, and then each of them must take responsibility of ownership.
Makes it easy for people to work together because they are stakeholder, and that helps the church.
They can also help to cultivate resources. They can help develop relationships in the community that extend beyond the doors of the congregation.
The AME Church recognizes and is aware that scouting is youth ministry.
Scouting acts as an opportunity to go out and to bring people to the church.
The church reaches into the community and engages the community at a level beyond its own particular denominational goals and aims.
We do have families that are not members, but they participate through Boy Scouts, and they participate through their presence in the worship service.
Unfortunately, young people's in urban centers can have a very limited engagement in life. They can only see the neighborhood where they are. Scouting can afford them an opportunity for other kinds of experiences and other kinds of exposure.
And we are an Afrocentric church, and we encourage our young people, as we encourage the congregation at large, to reach back and to understand our roots.
We were able to take 33 individuals to South Africa. 19 of them were Boy Scouts that went to South Africa.
And they did everything they could to raise the money and did an exceptional job, and they went back and had an outstanding experience.
We met other scouts in Cape Town and in Johannesburg as well, if I'm not mistaken. So we got to see that scouting was not only a program that was put forth in the United States, but they got to see that it was a global program.
And from the experience, I really think those young men will not be the same.
We live at a time when our young men are facing very serious challenges. And to get them in a Boy Scout program is to provide for them the kind of support, the undergirding, the underpinning, the leadership that they need to achieve.
It supports and supplements everything that you're trying to teach your young man at home, at church, at school.
I would encourage churches to be involved in the scouting program, especially in African American churches, because the church is really the center of our communities.
I would like to encourage pastors, presiding elders, fellow bishops, persons who work in local congregations and in the communities of our churches to use the scouting opportunity as one to create new horizons for young people, new possibilities for congregations, new directions for our community.
The message which I would like most of all to leave with people is to those churches that have scouting programs, strengthen them and enlarge them and expand them. And to those churches where they do not have a scouting program, I certainly strongly urge and petition you to enter the scouting program because it is very valuable and beneficial to the young people it reaches.